네, 잠시 안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 2025 세계 바이오 서밋 두 번째 세션 고령화 및 의료 기술이 잠시 후 이곳에서 진행될 예정입니다. 참석자분들께서는 자리에 착석해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Session 2 on Aging and Health Tech will begin shortly. We kindly ask everyone to be seated. And also, we ask everyone to take their seats and still in the lobby to make your way into the hall. 네, 행사가 시작된 후에는 주변에 함께 계신 분들이 행사에 집중하실 수 있도록 통화는 잠시 참아주시고 가지고 계신 휴대전화는 진동 모드로 변환해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. To ensure a smooth experience for all participants, we ask that you refrain from making phone calls during the session and kindly set your mobile phones to silent mode. 네, 그리고 오늘 행사 동시 통역이 제공됩니다. 한국어는 7번, 영어는 8번 사용해 주시면 되겠습니다. And for your convenience, simultaneous interpretation is available. Channel 7 is Korean and Channel 8 is English. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second session of World Bio Summit 2025. And before we proceed any further, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Seoul Park, and I have the honor of moderating this session. Very nice to meet you. Thank you very much. And many of our distinguished guests have joined us today from the very early morning to this summit, which is marking the fourth iteration this year. So on behalf of the organizers, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to all of you for joining us today. And this session as well provides simultaneous interpretation in Korean and English. Please use the receiver in front of you, and you can select the channel 7 for Korean and channel 8 for English. And the second session is organized under the theme of the role of age tech in realizing healthy aging and maintaining quality of life in an era of rapid population aging. And in this session, we will examine technology-driven strategies for aging societies, focusing on the convergence of AI, biotechnology, and robotics. And we'll also consider perspectives on international cooperation, policy frameworks, and examples of industry innovation. And through these discussions, we hope this session will highlight the global potential of Korea's age tech strategy and help shape concrete agendas for international collaboration, making this truly a meaningful event. And now, we would like to begin the opening remarks and congratulatory speech for this session. And first, please welcome Hyung-woo Ko, Director General of the Bureau of Aging Society Policy at the Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy, who will deliver the opening remarks. Let us greet him with a big round of applause.
Good afternoon. My name is Hyung-woo Ko. I am Director General for Aging Society Policy at the Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy. It is my great honor to welcome you to the 2025 World Bio Summit here in Seoul. This year's summit is special. It is held together with the APEC high-level meeting on health and economy, and co-hosted by the Korean Ministry of Health and Welfare and the World Health Organization. We are joined today by hundreds of senior government officials, international organizations, industry leaders, and experts from around the world. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Minister Anna Tenja of Sweden and Deputy Secretary Penny Shakespeare of Australia for their warm congratulatory remarks. I also wish to thank our distinguished speakers, Ms. Emiko Masaki from the Asian Development Bank, Mr. Jenko from Motors Academy in Singapore, Professor Park Hyung-soon of KAIST, Professor Kim Min-young of Cha Bundang Medical Center, and Professor Tobita Morikuri of Juntendo University in Japan. My appreciation also goes to our panelists and to Professor Lee Yun-han, who will chair today's discussion. Last year, Korea became a super-aged society, with more than 20% of our people aged 65 and over. This is not only Korea's story, it is a global trend. Across the world, our focus is changing. It is no longer only about living longer. It is about living healthier, with quality of life and independence. This is where age tech becomes important. Age tech means technology that helps older people stay healthy, active, and connected. Earlier this year, the Korean government launched an age tech strategy in 5 main areas. First, AI-powered care robots. Second, AI-enhanced wearable and digital medical devices. Third, geriatric disease treatment and pharmaceuticals. Fourth, anti-aging and regenerative medicine. And the last, smart home care solutions. Today's session on aging and medical technology will explore this theme. This session provides an opportunity to explore how age tech, where AI, biotechnology, and robotics converge, can help realize health aging, while discussing policies, industry practice, international cooperation, and cases of technological innovation. We'll look at global trends, Asia's challenges, and new solutions. From personalized care to regenerative medicine. Age tech is not only for the elderly, it is a solution for all of us. It can make life healthier, safer, and more independent. Therefore, care robots, wearable medical devices, and anti-aging and regenerative medicine are particularly central. I hope that today's discussion will help us identify practical solutions and build meaningful cooperation so that Korea and our global partners can move forward together. Aging is a complex challenge, but as we often say, every crisis can also be an opportunity. With age tech, we can turn this challenge into innovation and growth. I hope today's gathering will serve as a time to sketch out the blueprint for the future together. Korea, together with global partners, hopes to build cooperation and practical solutions through this section. Finally, I would like to thank everyone who worked hard to prepare this summit, and I wish everyone productive and inspiring discussion. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Director General Hyung-woo Ko, for your opening remarks. He just opened up this session by setting up the stage for our further discussions on how we can respond to this population aging with all the technological development. And now, next, we would like to hear congratulatory remarks from Her Excellency Anja Tenje, Minister for Older People and Social Security of Sweden. And due to an unavoidable situation, the minister is unable to join us in person today, but she has kindly shared her message with us through a video recording. So let's hear her message together.
Deputy Minister, distinguished experts, ladies and gentlemen, let me congratulate you to the World Bio Summit 2025 for championing global health, innovation and equity. This summit contributes to a commitment to promoting access to groundbreaking technology for a healthier future. And in many cases, it may involve using existing technology in a new creative way. I hope our collaborative efforts have a clear impact to empowering and transforming lives across the globe. Here's to a decade of impact. The fact that we are living longer is a success story. We also are healthier as we age, something that we have worked hard to achieve. But as life expectancy increases, so does chronic conditions such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and dementia. This demographic shift places immense pressure on healthcare systems and social services, demanding innovative solutions to ensure quality care and sustainable service delivery. Health technology offers promising opportunities to address these challenges. Remote monitoring tools allow healthcare providers to track vital signs and intervene early, improving outcomes and lowering costs. AI can help authorities anticipate needs so that resources are allocated where they are most needed. At the same time, however, personal privacy must be protected. We must all be able to age with dignity. The introduction of technology into human-centered activities must be done with care and respect. There are many obstacles to introduction, both related to knowledge and attitudes towards technology or fear. To overcome these hurdles, health technologies and age tech must be designed with inclusion in mind, prioritizing easy to use and affordability. Collaboration among developers, caregivers, informal caregivers, and policymakers is essential to ensure that innovations truly serve the needs of our older population. With thoughtful development and integration of technology, it can transform elderly care and promote healthier and more independent lives for all. To all of us today here, our dedication to advancing global health is truly inspiring and full of opportunities. Let's keep pushing boundaries, sharing knowledge and partnerships. The future of healthy aging depends on innovation and collaboration. So let's stay curious, bold, and our work here today is shaping a healthier tomorrow for generations to come. Thank you.
That was a warm message from Deputy Secretary Anne. We would like to move on to the next presentation or the remark. And now we would like to welcome Penny Shakespeare, Deputy Secretary for Health Resourcing at the Australian Department of Health, who will deliver the congratulatory remarks. Let us greet her with a warm round of applause.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you this afternoon. Welcome, distinguished guests and colleagues. I would like to start by commending the organisers of the World Bio Summit 2025, the Korean Ministry of Health and Welfare and the World Health Organisation. This, together with the APEC high-level health and economic meeting yesterday, have been very strategic and interesting, important opportunities to discuss very critical issues for us. And I'm grateful for the organisers of both meetings elevating the needs of our ageing populations through including these important discussions. We meet at a defining moment. Globally, demographic ageing is reshaping our communities. It will put enormous pressure on our health and economic systems, and we need to reshape these systems to meet the needs of our ageing populations. In Australia, the population of people aged over 65 will double in the next 40 years, and the number of people we have over age 85 will triple. These trends are mirrored across the Asia Pacific and beyond. This demographic transformation presents both complex policy issues and unprecedented opportunities for innovation. It calls for a strategic reimagining of how we deliver and design our care systems, how we harness technology, and how we uphold the dignity and agency of older people. This session is not solely about technological advancement, it is about values. It's about embedding respect, autonomy, and inclusion in the architecture of our health and care systems. It's about recognising older adults not as passive recipients of care, but as active contributors to our societies. Australia is advancing reforms that reflect this ethos, implementing significant aged care reform, transformation of our aged care system that hasn't been occurring for the last 30 years, but we're now making it happen very quickly. The changes will ensure that older people are at the centre of our aged care system, introducing a rights-based framework that affirms autonomy, dignity, and the right to make decisions about care and life. It's investing in programs to support older Australians remain at home longer, rather than needing to move into residential care facilities. And it's about strengthening legislative protections to improve the level of care provided to older Australians. These actions prioritise ageing in place, digital health literacy, and integrated community-based models of care. Health technology, digital health innovation, and artificial intelligence is already playing a major role in these systems. Digital transformation in this context means creating a digitally connected ecosystem between providers, the people they care for, and government, simplifying and automating interactions across our age and care system and enabling person-centred care through better data sharing and service design. But national efforts like these can be complemented by global actions and collaboration. Forums such as the APEC High-Level Meeting on Health and the Economy and the World Bio Summit here in Seoul are elevating ageing and health technology as central pillars of international health policy. These platforms underscore the need for multi-sectoral strategies, linking health, digital infrastructure, and workforce development. They also highlight the importance of intergenerational solidarity and inclusive innovation. Today's session continues this momentum. It's an opportunity to exchange insights, challenge assumptions, and co-design solutions that are scalable, equitable, and person-centred. Thank you, and I know this will be a rich discussion.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary Penny Shakespeare, for your remarks. As you just mentioned, aging with dignity is the topic of today's discussion. So let's keep in mind as we discuss the topic today that we are also talking about values, not only the technological development here. And now let us move on to the first presentation of today. And the first presentation is titled Global and Regional Trends in Population Aging. And it will be delivered by Ms. Miku Masaki, Principal Health Specialist at the Asian Development Bank. As she takes the podium, please welcome her with a big round of applause.
Thank you. Distinguished guests and participants, good afternoon to all. It is my great pleasure to be here today and to present this global and regional trends in population aging, highlighting their impact on societies and the health and well-being of older adults, as well as the implications of the future planning and policy priorities. So global population has been steadily increasing, and it's expected to continue growing until it stabilizes towards the end of the 21st century. This growth differs across geographic regions, reflecting the different demographic patterns and also the development stages. Understanding these trends help us anticipate the future societal needs and challenges that related to the population size as well as population distributions. Beyond just closing numbers, the global population is undergoing a profound demographic shift, which characterized by population aging. The transformation of This whole transformation affects individuals, families, communities, and broader societal structures influencing health systems, economic policies, social welfare programs, as well as urban planning. Recognizing these wide-ranging implications is critical for effective adaptations and innovative solutions. Demographic shift is largely driven by two key factors: rising life expectancies and declining fertility rate. Advances in medicines and public health and living standards have pushed the global average life expectancies to nearly 74 years old, with developed regions is also exceeding the life expectancy over 80 years. However, while people are living longer, the number of healthy years does not always increase proportionally. This means many individuals spend more years managing the chronic conditions, as was mentioned earlier, which places the greater demand on health systems and also the long-term care. Combining increased longevity with lower fertility results in a rapid growing of older populations, both in absolute numbers as well as the share of the total populations. By 2050, over 1.5 billion people will be aged over 65 and above, with Asia experiencing the highest increase. This shift will have a profound social and economic impact. The age group 65 and above is the fastest growing segment of the population worldwide, outpacing the growth in children and working age populations. And this trend is especially profound in Asia, which is shown in a graph on the right side, where the older population is rising sharply while the number of children is projected to decline. These changes will reshape the workforce dynamics and social support systems. While aging is most advanced in high-income countries, the developing economies in Asia, Latin America, and Africa are also undergoing the rapid demographic transitions. These countries continue to face challenges such as less developed social security system, limited time to adapt to aging populations, and making that proactive planning and policy development is essential to manage these shifts effectively. So as we turn our focus to Asia, it is important to recognize how rapidly Asia is aging, although there are some differences across countries. The populations and share of older Asians are projected to double to 1.2 billion. The many economies are aging faster than previously projected. The figure on the right shows the two-time period in which that share of the older population, 60 and above, shift from 10% to 20% for selected countries in Asia. While Asia is more advanced in some countries than in others, demographic transition is underway in even many younger economies. What characterizes Asia's demographic change is that the region is aging much faster than advanced economies did in earlier period at the lower economic level. Across Asia, there is a concern that society will grow old before they gain sufficient resources and capacity to ensure the well-being of the older people. Well-being is holistic and multi-dimensional state achieved from the filling diverse human needs that income alone cannot fully measure it. Among the dimensions of well-being, the current literature on life satisfactions and mental well-being indicate the 4 dimensions are particularly relevant to older adults in Asia. While good health is important for everyone, it is even more important for older people because of their heightened vulnerability to disease, as was made evident during the COVID pandemic. The other factor that contribute to well-being in old age are a sense of contribution to the society through productive work, achieving financial independence, and sufficient resources for retirement and active social engagement through family interactions and having access to community membership and long-term care. Health, physical, mental, and sound cognitive functions is central to the old age well-being. Being in good health drives productive and economic security of the older people while promoting their active social engagement, which in turn reduces the need for health and long-term care. How is Asia performing in achieving these aspects of well-being? I'd like to present the key finding and insight from the Asian Development Policy Reports, Aging Well in Asia, a flagship report produced by the Economic Research and Development Impact Department of the Asian Development Bank last year. So the analysis showed that the well-being of many older adults in Asia remains at risk in each of the 4 dimensions of the well-being. The lifestyle diseases affect 57% of the older adults in these regions, but nearly 60% did not report attending regular health checkups. 43% of older adults with at least one physical limitation experience unmet needs for care. There's a limited access to decent job opportunity, with as many as 94% of older workers employed in the informal sector. Due to the informality of work, nearly 40% of older adults lack access to pensions. 16% of the older persons report feeling lonely most of the time. In short, this region is currently unprepared for the fast approaching demographic transitions. Surveys in selected economies in developing Asia shows 37 to 60% of the older adults reporting at least one of the 5 diagnosed non-communicable disease. Hypertension is the most common NCDs affecting older adults. One of the 9 countries that are studied, 7 have more than 40% of older adults diagnosed with hypertension and followed by diabetes. The data also highlights that there are significant opportunity to expand both preventive and curative health services for older population across countries. It also emphasizes that disparity in service utilizations among older populations by education and income level. This suggests that the targeted interventions are needed to improve health equity for the older populations, ensuring that the health service reach those most in need. From the data and some of the key findings from the study, the promotion of healthy aging necessitates at least 2 sets of actions. The first action is to meet diverse care needs of older persons, especially in preventing and managing NCDs and addressing mental health challenges. Increasing coverage and quality of healthcare through an integrated care approach under the universal health coverage is a top priority. The second area is promotion of the lifelong health investment, which lays the foundation for healthy aging. Reducing NCD risk of all age groups by promoting healthy lifestyle and offering cost-effective preventive health measures such as screening is a crucial step for achieving healthy aging. Behavioral insights and health technology can offer a range of low-cost and personalized preventive and curative health interventions. Decline in functional ability is common and worsened with age. The functional impairment measured by basic activities of daily living, ADL, such as dressing, bathing, and eating, can possibly arise from complication of NCDs and mental illnesses. As shown in the graph, the share of ADL rises steeply in very old age, mostly around 17 and above, across sampled economies with a few exceptions. The difficulties in ADL can be addressed effectively with better NCD management and supporting care interventions, including the use of innovative technologies. Family remains central to the long-term care for older adults as they provide virtually all of the care. Long-term care for older people in India, China, Vietnam is provided largely informally by family members, as shown in a figure, although it is generally true in most emerging economies in the regions. The informal carers are often adult children, predominantly women. Responsibility to care for older people tend to fall on their children. The recent surveys in Vietnam, Thailand, and Mongolia found that the daughters and daughters-in-law provided most of the care. The same holds in wealthier members countries of OECD, where 3 out of 5 informal carers are women. The older people are often caregivers themselves. Carers are often of the older age themselves, caring for a spouse or other family members. Older carers are at high risk of suffering injury from caregiving tasks and are also vulnerable to psychological strains from caregiving activities. As these concerns are neither well understood nor well defined, it is essential to address caregivers' risk of neglect and to monitor their health challenges. As the core social unit of the older people, the family naturally contribute to their well-being. However, the rapid urbanizations, extended longevity, and changing social norms in the regions are gradually changing the living arrangement for older people. The pace of change toward how more diverse living arrangement differs across countries. On average in these regions, as shown in the figure, the elder living alone has increased by 17% in the past 2 decades. A preference for independent living is expected to increase as economies grow. Changing family composition can have a substantial impact on the extent to which care is provided. To date, family provides 94% of care. Most long-term care systems in this region in Asia are in their infancy. Estimates suggest that unmet care needs of older people are significant, amounting to 43% on average in economies that studied. Older women are greater risk of unmet care needs. The graph in the middle shows that across all countries, women experience large care gaps than men. Together with the fact that most women are net provider of care until late in life, it highlights that caregiving has a strong gender component. As a result of large, potentially growing unmet care needs, the people in these regions are increasingly willing to pay for formal home care. Social stigma for the institutional care remains strong, suggesting that the policy direction should aim at maintaining an aging-in-place approach. The data also highlighted the growing trends in acceptance and financial commitment toward the home care services across different age groups. The data also collected from survey conducted in 2019 and 21 and 2023 reflects the people's increasing willingness not only to receive professional home-based long-term care services, but also to pay for these services. This shift indicates the rising recognition of the value and necessity of home care, likely driven by the aging populations and changing family dynamics. Understanding these trends is crucial for policymakers and service providers as they plan for the future healthcare infrastructure and support system tailored to meet the evolving needs of the population. Future-friendly long-term care. Fighting isolation are the key to older people's well-being. Preparing for a market-driven care economy while upholding the value of family care. Supporting informal caregivers by scaling up upcoming interventions that provides the care and training. Creating a greater pool of informal caregivers by formalizing a family caregivers and fostering care economy and private care providers under the clear policy guidance is needed. Crafting a comprehensive long-term care strategy that coordinates among the various stakeholders and secure financial resources, and combating isolations among the older people. establishing early warning system with health, so social and community workers, and socially engaging older people through a community initiative. Enhancing social connectivity by removing the transportations and urban and physical barriers, and tackling the digital divide among the older people. The priority policy action to enhance the well-being is highlighted here in this slide. The government needs to step up its effort to empower people of all ages to plan and prepare for old age. A set of policies are essential to creating an environment in which people can invest in their well-being starting from young age. The reducing non-communicable disease risk, effectively managing NCDs through life cycle approach are at the top policy priority to achieve healthy aging. Addressing long-term care needs, the government will also need to focus on facilitating shift from family-based care model to the mix of market-based care system. This requires investing in delivery of services and also offering incentive to drive efficiency. Loneliness and social isolation is an emerging agenda needing a policy attention. The effective community-based initiative, including clubs and older people participating in a volunteer activity, should be supported. Efforts should be made to remove barriers to the social connectivities by developing age-friendly cities, investing in public transport, addressing the digital divide that exclude older adults. The private sector has an important role to play as well in creating age-friendly jobs, offering a suitable financial product for the retirements, and developing a care economy. Public and private investment in human capital, notably the preventive and curative healthcare, and lifelong education can generate a sizable silver dividend. It is the early investment which is the key to harnessing the silver dividend to leverage the full potential for healthier and more educated older populations. Through early investment, the people of all ages can aspire to live well and age well. Thank you so much for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Masaki, for your insightful presentation. While she provided us with some key findings and insights on how we can achieve health equity in older persons, especially in Asia. And now the next presentation is titled Winning in Age Tech, how healthcare, rehabilitation technologies, and robotics are changing the care and what it will take to scale. And it will be delivered by Mr. Zen Ko, CEO of Modus Academy. Now, please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Zen. I'm from Singapore. I represent two societies in Switzerland. So today I'm going to share with you how we can use technology for pediatric, geriatric, and neurological patients. Myself, my background, I came out from the universities and have spent 2 decades working on various forms of technologies for elderly patients, for people with disabilities, and for neurological patients. So today my talk is not about why we need technologies. I think Director General Ko and Emiko has already shared the population demographic shifts have created a real need. The policies are in place. But why is it that we do not see technology being used in large scale? So I'm going to maybe create some open questions later on for the panel discussions. So how we can use healthcare technology, rehabilitation technologies, robotics, AI to reshape care, and what it takes to scale. So I don't think we need to argue. The population globally, we are aging. Korea, even Singapore, we are aging rapidly. So the demand is inevitable, but the gap is also there. So scaling is a choice. There are policies in place. There are companies studying, innovations, technologies. And I liked the summit tagline, innovation is important, but innovation without access is useless. So I think we have the right technologies, but how do we scale and make these technologies available is something that I think is the real questions. So if you look at this slide, the population is aging, and many of the aging populations prefers to stay at home. In the US, 75% of the US population prefers to age in place. And just now, Emiko and the secretaries and the minister talk about aging gracefully with dignity. I think that's the key. You know, living longer is one thing, but living in dignity is also very important. So before we start, let's define age tag. There are various definitions. So I did some research and I put together my own definition. I hope you will agree with that. I think it is about a system that integrates AI, robotics, biotech, any form of technologies that can improve our well-being in terms of extending our health span and lower the cost. So aging is one of the most investable and impactful system challenge that we have at this age. So integration of these technologies are now one of the real challenge that we should face. I think there are 5 elements that we should look at. It should be able to sense, it should be able to assist, it should be able to decide, and it should be able to treat, and eventually deliver the pay and reimbursement possibility. So we talk about adoption reality. Many countries has been looking at using technologies for decades. I remember when I decided to quit my PhD studies to work on technology, one of the sensors that I work on is for fall detection. Because in Singapore, we have serious aging populations, and elderly falling is a serious problem for us. Falling without early interventions create complications. So I was working on sensors that we can wear, we call it MEMS wear, to detect falls. So that has been more than 2 decades ago. But now, we are still talking about how can we use technology in aging care. I think we should move away from that question. There are already good technologies out there. There's no perfect solutions. I think later on in my slides, I will present some technologies and a system that how we can integrate these technologies to scale for possible mainstream adoptions. So, of course, people ask, what are the reasons for no large-scale adoptions? Arguments presented earlier on is about cost, right? Trust, right? Privacy, and the ease of use, integration, reimbursement. So we'll come to that later. So I think not many countries have the infrastructure to improve or to adopt all these technologies. But we should not wait for that to happen. We should start with what we have and upgrade, improve along the way. So there are some points that I think that we need to adopt before we can overcome these challenges. First, there must be some control. So the user must be able to have access to the system and to actually authorize the use of their data. It must be simple enough. Simplicity is key. Imagine, my mom, I asked her to use a smartphone. I explained 10 times, she still don't know how to send a WhatsApp to me, because it has to be simple enough for them to use, right? We are talking about aging population. Of course, some of them are very, very tech savvy. Yeah. Reliability. So a lot of the system, we talk about online system, but how about offline? The battery, the connectivity, because these are systems that are supposed to monitor the elderly at home or in institutions. We cannot afford to have it fail. So reliability is key. And service. It is not a piece of technology that you sell and you forget. So it should be a service bundled kind of solution. So there must be training, there must be remote support. These are important to ensure technologies are well used. And data. Now we are talking about AI, right? So data is the foundation of using AI to predict, to have personalized and customized solutions. So last thing we want is to have alert fatigue. If you have false alarm all the time, it will create actually waste of resources and time. So we have to look at the system to make sure that it can actually alert when needed. So some of the metrics that we should put in place will be to prevent and lower the false alarm rate, time to respond, etc. So the bottom line is we need the technology, but we also have to solve some of the key problems that I just shared that actually slowed or stopped technology adoption. when I'm invited to give this talk, I decided to search online something about Korea. So I did not translate that, I used AI. So if the translation is good, it's because of me. It's bad, it's because of the ChatGPT. But I checked with some of my Korean friends. They say the translation is very good. So thank you very much. So I like this graph because it shows that Korea has been a long time looking at using a whole system approach for aging technology. So if you look at the outer 9 area, there are platforms, there are care assistive robotics. My colleague Hyung-Soon Park from KAIS will talk about how he used robotics to help in aging care later on. And we're talking about telehealth for remote access, housing, smart solutions, senior nutrition, diet, mobility solution, finance, life management, daily living support, even policy like Imeko has shared to promote the adoption of technology. So the inner core domains, we talk about some of the technologies to support caregivers and caregiver settings, and medical and healthcare institutions and industry looking at clinical and remote services. And of course, independent living technologies to help elderly live safely at home and independently. So I think Korea has some of the very nice infrastructure that has a strategic advantage to move from a pilot to platform. And this technology can be shared with adjacent countries in Asia Pacific, in ASEAN. So I think policy alignment is very important. Without policy alignment, industry will be working on technologies and trying to convince the policy makers, please adopt this technology. I think policymakers should work with industry players, work with the professors, work with the clinicians, and also work with the end users. So the 5 stakeholder groups are all very important. So to move forward, I suggest 3 possibilities to create a solution like Safe at Home, with sensors that can alert, social assistive robotics that Hyung-Soon will share to check on the patients later on, rehab at home. Because a lot of the elderly that we work with, they have mobility, functional lost, so they probably had to do like Amigo mentioned, chronic conditions, care at home, so rehab at home, and connection at home, like Parkinson, Alzheimer's, dementia. So these 3 at-home solution could be something that we look at using existing technology. So design does matter. So there are 2 ways that we always look at technology. One is to actually include the aging into the existing technology. I call that age-inclusive mainstream technology. So we have that a lot, right? Existing technologies that add on something for the elderly to use. There are second kind of technology, we call it the purpose-built technology. So we build that only for the elderly, so that young people will not use. So you will see some technologies that work very slowly for the elderly. But my argument is that I think we should not have a piecemeal solution. We should not have a bolt-on solution. It should be bundle system integration to combine the sensing, the assisting, the decision-making, and the treatment plus the payment together. Because you cannot expect the elderly to understand all these things. So it must be a full solution. So one of the more important things is that the design should be non-negotiable. It must include the elderly. It cannot be a piecemeal technology that the professors or the scientists think of it at home or in the lab and then try to convince the elderly to use. So involving them in the human factors design, in the usability testing, a very important process that we create technologies that can be adopted. I earlier mentioned reliability and resilience. So the technology must be able to use online and offline. So a few things that we look at as a service. It should have the assessment, it should have installation support as well, and training onboarding, and the monitoring and remote support. Right? You cannot just install, train, and you walk away. And you must be able to maintain it, because in all forms of technology services, it will break down. So the maintenance, the downtime should be minimized. And the escalation to the clinicians and family is key, right? Because you have all this system in place, who are you going to send the help to? Maybe the elderly have families, but Emeko mentioned some of them may not have family support. Maybe you need to send the signals to clinicians or institutions to help them. And then the documentation and reimbursement. So what we should avoid is the patient's privacy we have to protect, the alert fatigue, and the complex setup or the hidden costs involved. So, in healthcare technology is one of the many technology within H-Tech. Later on, I will share a few more. In home facilities, it should have some of these technologies that I think is very common, but it's not fully integrated. We have remote monitoring, ambient sensing, voice AI assistance, and then ambience documentation AI to actually keep track and cut the time and hours required for the patient tracking. And very commonly now, I think in Korea, Japan, we have medication management, smart dispensers to avoid elderly overdosing or underdosing. So, operational-wise, some of the things that we have to be very clear. The roles, who should play the roles of watching, acting within the time frame of using the technology. So there must be alert governance, the resilience, the interconnectivity and privacy, and all this bundle, as I earlier shared, as a service, including technologies. Another form of technology under H-Tech that we use a lot is rehabilitation technologies and robotics, basically for functional restore. So some of these technologies I think you are very familiar with are exoskeleton technologies, basically for early mobilization, therapy, intensity, and the VR-based rehab, many times combined with the robotics technology. Other form of technologies within the rehabilitation technologies include the neural wearables, hearing vision technologies, and these all combine to create the clinical pathway that actually standardize rehab at home, rehab at clinics. So it is important because a lot of the elderlies, they have to receive rehab on a chronic basis. So the usability, the safety is very important, and the data in terms of dashboard and the connectivity is key to ensure that we have a continuum of care. I took this from one of the studies from my colleague from ETH Zurich. So it shows some of the technologies like upper extremity, lower extremity, bedside rehabs. These are some of the common form of technologies are moving from institutional settings to home-based and community setting. Another form of technologies I want to briefly touch on is robotics. So I think one thing we have to be sure about, robotics should not be just a novelty. It should move from novelty to necessity. So we should use the technologies that actually can create, actual functional improvements. So we need not wait for the future technologies. First thing first is safety, right? So some of the robotics that we can use now is for social. We talk about loneliness for the elderly. So this is one of the low-lying fruits that we can look at. Assistive robotics for ADLs, activities for daily livings. Later on, some of my colleagues will talk about using robotics to feed, robotics to move. And also in the healthcare sector, using robotics to patrol for nursing support, to reduce the efforts for nursing care. So we talk about different forms of technologies, the challenges, and what we should do. So the barriers to scale are there. How do we overcome them? I think we have to definitely overcome the usability gap. To make the design easy to use, make it affordable, we should overcome the trust and privacy issue, and that cannot be done by companies or industry alone. You need policymakers, to support us in creating some form of standards. We need connectivity, overcome the connectivity issues. This is not a problem because we have all the right technologies, but to connect to what? I think with a global standard set up, the companies or the innovators can create a technology that can be very well connected. At the moment, the procurement within the hospitals and individuals are very fragmented. So perhaps with the standard, we move from like piecemeal point products to a bundle job to be done. One accountable, operator providing the solutions. One example, if you buy a mobile phone, you don't want to find the operators and then convince the operator to give you this package for the mobile package. You go to one operator and they give you a few bundles. It's okay, I like the bundles. I can surf the internet, I can watch this, I can listen to music. I sign up for this bundle. The technologies are included. So the evidence gap. So a lot of the clinicians are working on validating the technologies. So closing the evidence gap can also help the adoptions. So in conclusion, I think the intent is there, but intend to impact in age tech require all of us to work together. So the why is already settled. The demographic shifts lock in the demand. So I think what will work will be look at the sensing, assisting, deciding, trust, and the deliver pay. So if we can close this adoption gap, I think solutions like technology is just one of the many tools we can use to help in, aging gracefully. So first we have to prove it, and then we have to scale it. So how do we scale it is based on some standards. So policymakers and governments should work together to create standards so that industry can adopt. My societies have been working on the knowledge sharing, and we're open to work with the various governments and the institutions to create these standards. So where should we start? I think we can focus on maybe the elderly population for fall prevention, stroke, post-stroke, orthopedics, because when they fall, they went for orthopedic surgery, medication management. And also the second part is on the deployed service bundles. Device combined with training and monitoring, integrate with the clinical system, could be the solutions that we focus on. High yield pathways will generate sustainable revenues that will encourage industry to participate and government to support. So the economic reality is to make technology mainstream, we have to redesign the entire workflow, not vice versa. We cannot find the solution for the technology, but we should actually work with the government to create solutions. So I think I finished my talk by suggesting that maybe at the panel discussion we can talk about how we look at standards, fund evidence, and ship the bundle solutions. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ko, for sharing your valuable perspectives. Well, he just mentioned some conditions for scaling the age tech for care, as well as some need for coordination of policymakers to work together. And now the third presentation is titled Frailty-Specific Age Tech for a Healthy Living Society. And it will be delivered by Professor Hyung-Soon Park of the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, KAIST. And please welcome him to the podium as he takes the stage. Let's make a big round of applause.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hyung-Soon Park from KAIST. And today, I'd like to share my thought on aging society, technologies for aging society. Specifically, my presentation will cover the challenges in Korea with rapid aging population and how technologies can provide tailored solution for the different stage of frailty. Okay, so as you can see in the left side of the slide, Korea is one of the fastest aging country in the world, and by the year 2050, the elderly population will exceed 40% of the country population, and the number of working age people will shrink dramatically. So this creates huge challenges, such as fewer caregivers and a surge in dementia cases and a threefold increase in healthcare cost. At the same time, all the adults express diverse needs, from wanting to stay healthy to living independently at home and ultimately to finishing their lives with dignity. Clearly, our healthcare system needs a new paradigm to take care of different frailty scale. So to meet these diverse needs, we propose an age tech strategy tailored by frailty scale. So I divided the three groups. First group, who wants to stay healthy, is relatively young elderly people. The sustainable health technology is needed for them. And the second, the moderately severe people, moderately elderly people, they need the technology for independent living. And finally, the people who approach to the terminal illness, they need the intensive care system with dignity. So how can we help them by using technologies? So I'm going to introduce the specific technologies for each frailty scale. So first stage is relatively healthy elderly people. And in this stage, the augmenting physical ability is the most important factor. So this includes self-monitoring through micro and nano sensors, wearable sensors, and neural interfaces and telemedicine platforms. And AI can help predict injuries and disease as early as possible. And we can provide VR or robot or some AI personal trainer technology so that they can maintain health condition as long as possible. So we can, for these people, we can use AI technology a lot. So for example, in the left-hand side, we can make a data bank, the database for brain images at different ages, and then we can estimate brain age evaluation by using AI. So some people may have a young brain than their age, and some people may have old brain than their age. We can detect the age of the brain by using AI. And also, by using a lot of sensor technologies, we can monitor health condition in more detail. For example, one professor in our university developed a multispectral PPG sensor. I think everybody has PPG sensor with their smartwatch, but multispectral PPG sensor can detect more. So it can predict the blood pressure, and the profile of the blood pressure waveform can tell something about your health condition. Then we can have early detection of disease, and then we can do some action for that. Also, I think the next speakers will talk about regenerative medicine, so I'm going to speak a little bit about this. So by using many of KAIST professors are expert in microscope. So they can capture the live cell images from your body, and then we can apply AI analysis to detect some disease as well. And then also this can be a big support for the regenerative medicine. So the left-hand side, there are many sensors introduced. Thin and flexible biosensors which can be embedded into your cloth. So for example, nowadays the compressive garment like leggings are popular in women especially, and we can embed very invisible thin sensors, flexible sensors in the cloth so that it can monitor the biosignal from your body. Then we know what's the problem or what's the expected musculoskeletal disease in the near future. Then we can prevent it. I'm going to show it in the next slide. And also, we can make some personalized training program for them. Oops. Sorry, the slide is a little bit broken. So on the top side, this is the technology developed in our lab. So traditionally, in order to make a precise measurement of your body movement, we used to use the professional markers. Have you seen the professional dancers captured by the camera system? And we have to place markers on your body. But now, the AI vision has developed a lot. So we can just capture your video, and then we can detect your body motion. So everybody here has different body structure. You know, I know everybody has 2 arms and 2 legs, but the bone structure in detail and the muscle volume for everybody is different. And we can analyze more detail of your kinematic motions while you're doing exercise. And then we can prevent injury in the future so that by training everybody for specific the AI-assisted fitness program. So next is for technology for technology for independent aging in place. I think one slide is missing, but to summarize, for these moderately severe people, most focus is on living independently at home, and the robotics and AI technology plays a lot for them. For example, robots in home. Imagine a humanoid. Nowadays, the humanoid robots are on news, and it's becoming popular. I think in the near future, humanoid robot may be able to understand what you're asking. For example, if a humanoid housekeeper is at home, you can ask the robot to bring an apple from the refrigerator and cut it out for me, and then the robot understands your language and go to the refrigerator and opens it up and then find the apple and then pick it up and then use a knife to cut it out and then give it to you, serve you. That might be possible in the near future. So that helps elderly people live alone, independently live at home with robot assist, because we don't have enough caregivers at home in the future. And in addition, they want to move independently, then we can use wearable robot technology, as Jenko mentioned earlier. Exoskeletons are very popular these days, and also exoskeletons can be personalized for elderly people. This is an example of wearable robot developed in our lab, and I'm going to show some video of this. And in our lab, we focused on developing hand assist. Why hand? Because we could work for lower legs, or lower limbs, or arms, but hand is the most difficult body part to assist because it's small and lightweight and very distally located, and it has too many joints. So we have 21 degrees of freedom in our hand. Compared to other body parts, it's very complex. But without hand, we cannot do any manipulation. We cannot do any task during daily living. So our lab has focused on developing the lightweight wearable hand robots. As you can see, it's driven by thin cables, mimicking the human tendons in our body. And we applied this for a stroke patient after stroke. One side of their arm is paralyzed, and using this hand robot, they could grip the heavy can, and they can grab the thin paper, and also they could do some smartphone operation, and also in-hand manipulation. In robotics society, this is very challenging task to achieve. And I want to show the technology has advanced so far to cover this type of complex task. So we can apply this to the elderly people in the near future. And this hand robot has been applied to rehabilitate the stroke patient in a hospital. This video was taken in the Chungnam National Hospital. And we used wearing the hand robot, and we used the brain signal to control the robot hand. So the brain signal is captured from his scalp, and his intention of hand movement is detected by the sensor, and the robot follows his intention. In this way, we can get more effective rehabilitation outcomes. And another technology can be used for sorry. How do I go back? So the next stage is the terminal care. So terminal care means they are hospitalized Sorry, I updated the slide, and I think there's some error with the slide. Anyway. 이게 화면이 좀 이상한 게 나오네요. 제가 파일을 잘못 들었나. Anyway, I'm going to explain with my verbal language, okay? So in terminal care, dignity is most important. Everybody knows what is 요양원. Jenko, do you know what is 요양원? Ask ChatGPT. Okay, it's like a caregiving, the nursing home at terminal illness. You go there at final stage, and then there are not many caregivers now, and we will have lack of caregivers in the near future too. And robotics and AI technology can play very important role there. So we are developing mobile robots for caregiving at nursing home, and I'm going to show a video recently developed in our lab. So this is the robotic manipulator and assisting for the eating. So initially I thought grabbing a spoon and scooping the food and then delivering the food near the mouth is enough, but it was not. We have to monitor how many times they chew, and we have to double check whether they swallow the food correctly. So we use a lot of sensors for that. We have the sensors at the chin to detect how many times they chew, and we also monitor by using vision camera. We monitor the robot can do. Yeah, we can mimic the human motion by using the robot. And the vision camera detect where is the mouse, so we can deliver the food in a correct location. And actually, this lady is not elderly people. She's an actress. And then also the preventing pressure also is very important for those people in terminal illness. So we have to change their body position frequently. And also preventing fall is very important in the hospital. So during the night, they make weird behavior and they jump out of the bed and they fall and they are injured. So robot arm can detect it quickly and then prevent the fall. So this can be the sample demonstration how the robot can be used for the terminal illness care. Let me conclude my talk. Sorry about the errors in the slide. Aging with low birth rate causes serious national problems, and decreasing young workers with increasing burden to support for elderly health care. And increased life expectancy means increasing medical health care costs for elderly patients. And age tech is for everybody because everybody gets old, and frailty-specific approach is needed. So I divide them into three groups. The first group, the technologies for improving and maintaining health condition as long as possible. And second group, moderate illness, the technology for independent, convenient living at home. So the aging in place technology is important. And for the final stage, the technology for terminal care with dignity. So technology for dignity is demonstrated. So technology is usually driven by market, and there is a strong market needs right now. So especially baby boomers have enough money to pay for the technology in the future. So there is a need for strategic planning for government, by government with industry to handle this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Park, for your insightful presentation. Well, there are a lot of interesting development in this age tech, and very interesting, like robot hands and assisting spoons. And yeah, it is very great to see all these technologies in real life as well. And now the fourth presentation is titled The Present and Future of Anti-Aging Medical Technology. And it will be delivered by Professor Min Young Kim of the Cha University School of Medicine. Now, as she takes the podium, please welcome her with a big round of applause.
Good afternoon. In this time, I'll talk about the present and future of anti-aging medical technology. From a medical perspective, the scope of aging-related conditions are these three. First, aging itself. The progressive loss of physiological integrity from genome level to cell and organs, and also accumulation of damages, lead to reduced systemic function. Second, frailty, a clinical condition marked by weight loss, exhaustion, weakness, and low activity. Third, aging-related diseases such as dementia, cardiac diseases, including myocardial infarct, and cancer, which are the common targets of medical intervention. The hallmarks of aging help us understand the mechanism behind it. It was suggested to these three kinds. Primary hallmark causes direct cellular damage like genomic instability, telomere shortening, and loss of protein from our body. Antagonistic hallmark is compensatory responses to the manifestation of the primary hallmark, such as cellular senescence, mitochondrial dysfunction, and deregulated nutrient sensing. And integrative hallmark is the downstream consequences such as stem cell exhaustion, altered intercellular communication, and chronic inflammation that resultantly induce further operational deterioration. One key feature of aging is chronic low-grade inflammation, so-called inflammaging, that involves changes in hematopoietic stem cells, HSC, and immune cells. Senescent cells release harmful molecules known as senescent-associated secretory phenotype, SASP, which trigger inflammation and accelerate organ damage. Aging affects every organ in the body. The brain encounters neurodegeneration, the heart and blood vessels lose elasticity, muscles shrink, bones become fragile, and the immune system weakens with the increasing risks of infection and cancer. We can classify the aging-related diseases by both severity and frequency. Those that are common and severe, such as stroke, myocardial infarct, and cancer, must be our highest priority targets for anti-aging interventions in Korea. Techniques that resist against aging progress should have scientific basis. Regarding genomic instability from exogenous and endogenous DNA damage, fortunately, there are repair pathways. Also, all four epigenetic alterations toward aging may be reversed by each reversing molecular action. Protein loss and disabled autophagy, which means increased waste production with decreased removal, can be reversed for each intracellular function component by specific molecules or interventions, which could be spermidine, caloric restriction, and mTOR inhibitors. Also, aging metabolic alterations that include deregulated nutrient sensing and mitochondrial dysfunction have resistive cell signaling pathways and interventions, also including caloric restriction, mTOR inhibitor, and ketogenic diet. For cellular rejuvenation, many approaches, including small molecules, growth factors, induced pluripotent stem cell-based reprogramming, SASP inhibition, senescent cell clearance, etc., may modulate aging mechanisms in the cells of our body. Previous experimental researches have tested mesenchymal stem cells, or MSC, for frailty. Preclinical studies suggest benefits for the brain by neurogenesis and cognitive improvement, and also myogenesis with anti-inflammatory effect, which suggests MSCs as a potential therapy for frailty. Countermeasures against aging have wide spectrum from lifestyle modification to high medical technology. The easiest approach would be exercise and diet. Caloric restriction and high functional foods or several supplements are well known, including resveratrol, omega-3, and spermidine. Drugs such as metformin and rapamycin have also gained attention, but advanced regenerative techniques such as tissue regeneration, cell reprogramming, and gene correction would be more fundamental and may have highest efficacy potential. Among all interventions, exercise is still the most reliable and effective. It improves brain, heart, muscles, and metabolic health by reversing cellular hallmarks of aging like genomic instability, telomere shortening, epigenetic alteration, and loss of protein. So far, for anti-aging effect, several drugs have been tested. Rapamycin targeting mTOR signaling showed mixed outcomes. Metformin is under evaluation in the large TAME trial. Resveratrol and NAD plus boosters demonstrated modest benefits. Senolytics, which remove senescent cells, are now in phase 2 trial with encouraging early results. However, regenerative medicine represents the next frontier. Stem cell therapies like MSC and HSC are in phase 2 clinical trials for regeneration and immune reset. Gene editing technologies for cardiovascular and metabolic diseases and exosome therapies for inflammation are being developed and on early clinical trial, although they do not directly target aging itself. This table compares conventional drugs and advanced regenerative therapy. Conventional drugs can slow the aging process by regulating specific signaling, and the improvement is only partial. On the contrary, the regenerative approaches aim at fundamental restoration, replacing, regenerating, and resetting tissues. Therefore, all the muscle in preclinical to early clinical stage, regenerative medicine is considered the most promising frontier. Cell therapy research for anti-aging has been expanding steadily since 2005. Reduction in these 2 years was caused by the global COVID-19 outbreak. A representative of aging condition, frailty, has been studied by recruiting the elderly, and the clinical trials showed encouraging outcomes. In the US, the Kratos random control trial confirmed safety and showed improved physical function with reduced inflammation. In China, umbilical cord-derived MSC improved quality of life and again reduced inflammatory markers. These results suggest MSC therapy may become the first regenerative anti-aging treatment. In Korea, the Act on Advanced Regenerative Medicine and Advanced Biopharmaceuticals was enacted in 2019. It established a legal and regulatory framework for cell, gene, and tissue-based therapies. The procedure for regenerative clinical research is carefully structured regarding application, institutional designation, protocol submission, review, funding, implementation, and long-term safety monitoring. Between 2022 and 24, total 23 projects were supported with a total of 17 billion Korean won. Most of these projects indications were aging-related diseases such as cancer, myocardial infarct, dementia, osteoarthritis, and osteoporosis. Globally, Japan has approved several regenerative therapies, including treatment for aging-related diseases aimed at neuroregeneration, myocardial repair, and restoring immunity. In the United States, the number of ALMET designations have increased a lot. Currently, Lomecel-B is being tested for Alzheimer's disease, and AMT-130 is under investigation for Huntington's disease. These efforts show that regenerative anti-aging medicine is a global trend. Here, I would make these suggestions for future effective applications of anti-aging advanced regenerative medicine technologies. We may set priority selection based on severity, prevalence, and cost of disease. Also, we should consider outcome and appropriate targeting and worthiness of the technology level in supporting R&D projects. At the same time, non-regenerative strategies remain essential. Exercise, proper nutrition, social interaction, safe environments, e-health monitoring, and comprehensive geriatric assessments all play important role in healthy aging. In conclusion, anti-aging medical technology is evolving rapidly. While lifestyle interventions remain the foundation, cell, gene, and tissue-based regenerative therapies represent the promising frontier. Although still at an early stage, these approaches may transform human health and longevity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Kim, for your thoughtful presentation. I think these medical technologies, regenerative medicine is already at the next level, and I felt like I'm becoming younger as just listening to her presentation. And now, the final presentation of today, titled The Present and Future of Advanced Regenerative Medicine in Japan. And it will be delivered by Professor Morikuni Tobita of Juntendo University. And now, please welcome him with a big round of applause.
So thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to speak today. So my name is Morikuni Tobita, Juntendo University from Tokyo, Japan. So today I will speak about the relationship between long life with dignity and regenerative medicine, so as well as current state of regenerative medicine in Japan. So Japan is world's leading countries in longevity and is actively promoting policies and industry academia collaboration, so aiming to extend a healthy lifespan. So with this background, so attention has focused on the relationship between longevity and regenerative medicine. So there are not just life extension technologies, but are closely linked to achieving healthy longevity with dignity. So regenerative medicine is contributing significantly longevity. So, and as shown here, so research and development is advancing across various disease areas. And the regenerative medicine is so particularly important for achieving healthy longevity, so as it aims to improve physical function and thereby so reducing medical and long-term care costs, and so potentially preserving so personal dignity by preventing dementia, so for example. So such regenerative medicine is medical fields closely related to longevity. So however, establishing rules for new technology requires much time. So therefore, I will introduce Japan's regulatory framework for regenerative medicine, enacted 10 years ago, and also as an example of regenerative medicine research, I will introduce a clinical study on frailty. So finally, I will introduce the university startup approach for the appropriate implementation of Japan's unique Regenerative Medicine Act. So the first, I will explain regenerative medicine in Japan. So Japan is promoting regenerative medicine, represented by the discovery of iPS cells as a national policy. So clinical research is being conducted to transplant cells differentiated from iPS cells into patients with eye disease. So furthermore, major clinical research using iPS cells is also advancing for Parkinson's disease, spinal cord injury, heart disease, and diabetes. So meanwhile, about 10 years ago, since there was no regulatory framework when providing regenerative medicine as a treatment in a clinic, at the same time, inappropriate treatment resulted in fatal accident in Japan. So the Japanese government has decided that it is necessary to establish a new framework to accelerate research and development in regenerative medicine and ensure so its appropriate provision and has begun the process of enactment of the law on the practical application of regenerative medicine. So as a result, so in 2013, the Regenerative Medicine Promotion Act, so advocating the philosophy of promotion of regenerative medicine, came into force. And in response to this, the RM Act is a left side, so blue one, so Act on the Safety of Regenerative Medicine, and the PMD Act is so right side, green one, so Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Act came into force, so in 2014. So to explain it simply, so when doctors provide so regenerative medicine as a medical treatment, they must comply with the RM Act. So that's the way. And on the other hand, when companies so manufacture or sell regenerative medical products, they must comply with the PMD Act. So the RM Act is a so domestic regulatory framework, while the PMD Act is so positioned as an international regulatory framework under the ICCCP. And next, I will introduce PMD Act briefly. The PMD Act is a law relating to clinical trials, so manufacturing and marketing of pharmaceutical, medical devices, and regenerative medical products. So this diagram shows the approval process of regenerative medical product. The upper area, so like here, oops, this area, so upper area. So shows the standard development scheme, while the lower area, lower diagram shows a unique system specific to regenerative medical medicine, so called conditional and time-limited approval. So this scheme targets development for rare disease with few patients, and if safety is confirmed and efficacy can be estimated, so provisional approval is provided. So this system has also contributed to the approval of 20 types of regenerative medical products in Japan over the past decade. So star marks, so this, can you see? So, oops. So you can see a product name is also black star mark, right? So star marks products are conditionally approvable products. Five products approval. So on the other hand, so as noted on the right side, this area, so the prices of these products are extremely high, so which is major challenges going forward. So next, I will speak on the RM Act briefly. So under the RM Act, so doctors must submit a notification to the MHLW. So after reviewed by the ethics committee based on 3 risk classifications. So one feature of the RM Act is outsourcing of cell processes. So the enactment of the RM Act enable outsourcing to companies. So this is a red circle. So furthermore, so a scheme has been established for off-label use of regenerative medical product approved under the PMD Act. So according to the MHLW under the RM Act, so approximately 60,000 patients received regenerative medicine as a private practice in 2023. So with patients concentrated in urban areas. So next, so I will introduce the current state of research frailty using cell therapy. So Dr. Kim also introduced it's same one. So stem cells are expected to improve physical functions through anti-inflammatory effects. So and various clinical trials are underway regarding stem cell administration, aimed at improving frailty. So this slide shows clinical trial conducted in China in 2020. So suggested that administration of umbilical cord-derived stem cells improved patient walking ability and blood level of inflammatory cytokines. And this slide introduces a clinical trial conducted by university startup in United States. So in 2021, that after administering 1 million bone marrow derived stem cells, improves in walking ability and reduction in blood TNF alpha level were also observed. So while there are high expectation for such preventive cell therapies, we must also consider how to spread their use. So finally, I will introduce example of approaches to spread approximately evaluated regeneration medical technologies to regional medical institutions. So Gaudi Clinical, a startup from Juntendo University in Japan, is a company that provides a regenerative medicine platform for medical institutions under the RM Act. So its business involves mediating the provision of regenerative medical technologies, verified for safety and validity, at the university to medical institutions, while also supporting cell manufacturing. And one feature of this startup is providing high quality cells to medical institutions. So the cells are not shipped directly from CPC. CPC is a cell processing center to the institutions. Instead, they are sold nearby preparation hub called kiosk, and delivered in a ready-to-use state. Regionally, distributed regenerative medicine supply network is being developed. So this is the last slide. So in conclusion, regenerative medicine still faced significant challenges, including the need to secure sufficient evidence, high cost, and ethical considerations. However, in the field of regenerative medicine, research of anti-aging area is expected to accelerate, and its convergence with the longevity industry is anticipated to speed up through integration with DX. While various challenges and expectations exist, international cooperation in regenerative medicine research and development will become more essential than ever to make the world of healthy longevity a practical reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation and also walking us through the present and future of regenerative medicine. And now thank you to all our speakers for sharing their valuable insights. And now please join me in giving them a warm round of applause once again. And before we begin the panel discussion, we will take a short 5-minute break to prepare the stage. And so we will resume at 3:15. We'll see you at 3:15. Thank you. All right, then without further ado, let us move on to our panel discussion. And the discussion will be held under the theme Advancing Healthcare Innovation for Healthy Aging. We'll now proceed with the panel discussion. And this discussion will be led by Dr. Yoon-Hwan Lee, Professor for Research of Aju University School of Medicine. And joining us for our panelists are Mads Friborg, Counselor for Health and Life Sciences at the Embassy of Denmark in Korea, and Sora Park, President of the Regenerative Medicine Acceleration Foundation, and Dong-hye Lee, Research Fellow of Gilead Sciences Korea, and Zenko, CEO of Modus Academy, and Hyunju Yoon, Senior Social Development Specialist at the Asian Development Bank, and also Ta-yeon Choi, General Manager of Gilead Sciences Korea. So now I will hand over my microphone to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to moderate this discussion session. I'm Yoon-Hwan Lee from Aju University and also the president of the Korean Gerontological Society. We have 6 discussants, and because of time limits, I would like to remind the discussants to limit their talk to like 6 to 7 minutes. And we will start with Mads Friborg.
Yes, so thank you very much for inviting me to this panel discussion today. I've been working at the Danish Embassy for 1 year here in Seoul, and I must say South Korea has really impressed me with its ability to recognize challenges early and respond with hard work, efficiency, and data-driven solutions. So I'm very confident that you can also see it today in the presentations. There's going to come so many solutions, innovative solutions to the elderly people in Korea, and I'm sure also for the rest of the world from here in Korea. So thank you very much. Today, I just want to briefly introduce elderly care system of Denmark, where I'm from. And I think we have just to highlight some of the things. We have a well-developed system in Denmark. It's publicly financed or funded through taxes, and we are emphasizing dignity, independence, and quality of life in our system. It's organized and financed by the municipalities in Denmark, and one of the main goals is to support seniors in living as independently as long as possible with professional help when needed. And we can see at the numbers from Denmark that in 2010, 41% above 90, in the age of 90, were living in nursing homes. 2022, that number was 31%. So it is actually moving in the right direction. Family involvement is encouraged in Denmark, but the public sector plays a key role in delivering care, so that's also important to say. We are facing a lot of the same challenges as all of the other countries that also we heard of today. The population is aging, and that's of course good, but it's increasing demand for healthcare. We are having fewer taxpayers to fund this, and also fewer health care professionals, workers. So in Denmark, we have the parliament, the government have just last year agreed on a new elderly care reform that was approved very broadly with a big majority in the parliament. And this is the first reform focusing only on elderly care, and it's a reform that's been 25 years since our last reform in this area. And I guess the reform, the aim of the reform is to, where we today and for the last many years, we have been focusing the management in the elderly care on quality standards, trying to describe standards for how should we treat elderly persons, and also a supervision policy and a lot of preventive home visits and so on. So that has been how we've done it today. You can call it micromanagement and Excel spreadsheets and so on. So we're trying to move away from that with this new reform, where we try to look at at elderly care more holistic. We try to establish more fixed teams around the elders, and also trying to base the management on goals and values and not spreadsheets. So encouraging free choices for the elderly. One of the key elements in this reform is also to establish a new national strategy for welfare technology. And there has been some requirements set by the politicians, some funding to develop this strategy. And it's underway. I think it will be here within this year. And some of the requirements for the strategy is that some national partnerships has been established with participants from NGOs, academia, the companies, and so on to come and give recommendations for this strategy. So multi-stakeholder involvement, that has been really crucial, but also an requirement to prioritize solutions that could be scaled. So we have a lot of different solutions in Denmark, like in many countries. We want this strategy to kind of focus on some of the things that's working and then decide to scale these to all the other municipalities. Data and security is also, of course, important, and developing standards is also an important issue in this strategy that's coming up. And then, of course, freeing staff time. That's a main purpose when adopting new technologies. So that's, I guess, the things that's happening right now in my country, in Denmark, with this new strategy. And if I just can mention, I think 1 minute more, if I can just mention, the headline today is also dignity in care, and I think we have heard a lot of things that is key factors for a dignity in elderly care, and we have heard about good health, access to care, financial security, safe and accessible housing, social connections, independence, respect, purpose in life, digital and health literacy, and so on. So many factors is giving influence to dignity. So it's for sure not easy. It's actually really difficult. We have also seen a lot of new technology, and we see that all over the world. There's a lot of things we can do. So I just want to highlight that, and one initiative that's also very important in Denmark right now is called Choose Wisely, and it's about trying to limit some of the things we are doing. So trying to see what is which treatment, which examinations, which medicine, what can we avoid to do, because we are doing so many things today. So there's this board that's trying to recommend things to take out of our to-do of our list of what we normally do. So examples of that is there's the recommendation to avoid too many of these health checks, because if there's no symptoms of anything, then we want to avoid too many health checks. So I know that's probably a bit controversial, but that's one thing. But also blood testing and diagnosis, radio, CT scans, so on. Try to limit it as much as possible. So that's just one thing I wanted to highlight. We also need to reduce what we are doing, because we don't have the staff to do this. So I think that was my 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to limit your time. I know you have so many to talk about. So because of time limit, let's move on to next discussant.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here as panelist. And actually, I'm from Regenerative Medicine Acceleration Foundation, so I would like to more focus on age tech and regenerative medicine. So I would like to share some reflections on last 3 presentations, and finally, I would like to recommend some proposals. And actually, the third lectures on frailty-specific age tech from Professor Park was both practical and timely. And frailty is not only a clinical condition, but also closely linked to independency and quality of life and the cost of long-term care. Age tech can move beyond the simple assistive devices to predictive and preventive solutions, strongly supporting the aging in place strategy. As Professor Park emphasized, if age tech with high market demand is to be applied rapidly to aged person, regulatory approval and reimbursement strategies must be considered alongside technology development. And first talk on anti-aging medical technology from Professor Min-young Kim addresses an area that draws enormous attention. The focus is not simply extending lifespan, but extending healthy span. At present, we have strong evidence for lifestyle intervention and some drug candidates. But in the near future, we may see breakthrough with stem cells therapy and gene therapy and artificial engineered organs and senolytics. At this point, I would like to emphasize that expectation must be balanced with scientific evidence. I particularly support the Professor Kim's last slide. I love that. The reminder that exercise, nutrition, and the social connection, and the careful and minimal medication management are themselves powerful anti-aging strategies. And the next presentation on regenerative medicine in Japan provided valuable perspectives from a neighboring country. Japan is the first country which has positioned regenerative medicine as an independent third category, separate from pharmaceuticals and medical devices. I believe this represents a leading cases in the field of regenerative medicine, particularly with its risk-based review system and the separation of a commercial track from research and medical practice track. However, there are pros and cons, as you may know. Patients may have relatively easy access, but concerns remain due to uncertain scientific evidence and high treatment cost and the lack of systematic post-treatment follow-up. So, as Professor Tobita noted, cross-border patient flow is easy, and given that Japan and Korea share the similar legal framework, and so joint reflection and joint cooperation between two countries are needed. Taken together, I think these three presentations form a clear flow from palliative management in daily life to anti-aging innovation in science and industry, and finally to formalization and industrialization of age tech and regenerative medicine. So finally, I would like to make a proposal. Globally, interest and research in healthy longevity are expanding rapidly, with some countries establishing large nonprofit foundations to support research, clinical research funding, and regulation, and financing for industry, while also building global networks. So Korea, too, needs a dedicated nonprofit government's body, it's governing body, non-ministry, it's not ministry, for healthy longevity, which can integrate research, industry policy, and funding, financing provide modulation and cooperation, and actively participate in international cooperation. By doing so, Korea can contribute reliable clinical and safety data and join global effort to drive greater innovation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Park. I'm not going to summarize each talk, but at the end I'll wrap it up. So I want to really give you each person enough time to talk. So let's move on to Dr. Dong-hee Lee.
예, 저는 그냥 편하게 한국말로 진행하겠습니다. 예, 오늘 세션에서 다루어진 주제가 우리가 얼마나 건강하고 품위 있게 오래 사느냐 하는 문제에 대해서 주로 의료 기술 그리고 로봇 기술 최신의 그런 기술 발전의 동향에 대해서 발표를 하고 논의를 해왔습니다. 발표를 들으면서 제가 들었던 생각은 2005년경에 레이 커즈와일이라는 분이 책을 하나 쓰셨잖아요. The Singularity is Near. 그래서 특이점이 온다라는 한국어 제목으로 책을 쓰셨는데 그때 이제 가장 많이 회자되었던 얘기가 2045년이 되면 인간이 생물학적인 한계를 초월하는 때가 그때가 된다라는 이제 얘기를 하셨습니다. 그리고 더 최근에는 한 20년 만에 새로운 이제 업데이트된 버전의 저서를 쓰셨는데 그 제목이 The Singularity is the Nearer. 더 가까이 왔다는 거죠, 특이점이. 그래서 2045년이 되면 최근에 발전하고 있는 AI 그리고 기타 의료 기술 이런 것들을 통해서 사람이 불멸의 존재가 된다라는 이제 그런 주장을 하고 있습니다. 이분이 처음 2005년도에 그런 얘기를 하셨을 때는 그런 일이 정말 발생할까? 사실 좀 믿기지가 않는 얘기였어요. 근데 최근에 와서 우리가 기술 발전하는 추세를 보고 있자면 이게 2045년이 되면 특이점이 진짜 올 수도 있겠구나라는 생각이 듭니다. 건강하게 품위 있게 오래 산다는 거 매우 좋은 일이기도 하지만 한편으로는 그렇다면 영원히 살게 된다면 어떤 사회적인 문제가 발생하고 개인적으로는 어떤 삶에 대해서 어떤 가치를 두고 살아야 되느냐 이런 좀 철학적인 그런 문제도 생각할 수가 있을 것 같습니다. 다른 한편으로 또 들었던 생각은 이렇게 말씀하신 여러 가지 에듀테크의 결과물들을 결국에는 우리가 제품이나 서비스의 형태로 수용을 해서 시장과 산업을 발전시켜야 되는데 어떻게 그 문제를 풀 수 있을 것이냐 하는 겁니다. 사실 이 에듀테크라는 건 단순히 돌봄이나 의료에 국한되는 문제가 아니라 고령자의 일상생활과 관련된 여러 가지 분야와 직접적인 관련이 되어 있습니다. 여행도 관련이 되어 있고 자산 관련이 되어 있고 사는 주거 문제도 다 관련이 되어 있는 그런 문제입니다. 따라서 이 에이지테크와 관련이 있는 시장과 산업을 어떻게 활성화시키느냐 하는 것이 결국에는 에이지테크를 발전시키는 원동력이 되는 것과 동시에 건강하고 품위 있게 오래 사는 이 문제에 대한 근본적으로 이제 중요하다고 이제 볼 수가 있습니다. 그래서 저는 이제 산업용 정책을 연구하는 사람으로서 어떻게 하면 그 에이지테크 좀 더 포괄적으로는 고령층화 산업을 발전시킬 수 있을 것인지 거기에 대한 좀 몇 가지 고민에 대해서 말씀을 간단하게 좀 드리겠습니다. 가장 먼저 지적하고 싶은 거는 아까 발표하신 박 교수님께서도 이제 말씀을 하셨어요. 에이징 테크에 대한 시장의 수요가 충분히 있다. 더군다나 베이비 부머들 돈이 많다. 그렇기 때문에 만들면 잘 팔릴 것이다. 라는 이제 취지로 말씀을 하셨는데 최근에 이제 은퇴를 하고 계시는 우리 베이비 부머들이 기존의 고령자와 비교해서는 부유하다고 볼 수가 있습니다. 근데 문제는 이분들의 자산의 대부분이 부동산이에요. 반면에 실제 뭐 이런 좋은 에이징 테크를 통해서 나온 제품과 서비스를 개발할 수 있는 구매 여력은 높지가 않습니다. 가처분 소득이 낮아요. 그렇다면 결국에는 문제는 이분들의 가처분 소득, 구매할 수 있는 소비 여력을 어떻게 증진시켜 줄 수 있느냐가 결국에는 에이징 테크와 고령 친화 산업을 발전시킬 수 있는 이제 중요한 이제 대목이라고 볼 수가 있습니다. 이런 차원에서 이 고령자들의 가처분 소득을 늘리기 위한 정책, 방법 뭐가 있느냐? 하나는 고령 친화적인 사람들, 고령자들이 일할 수 있는 친화적인 일자리를 계속 지속적으로 제공해 주려고 하는 그런 노력이 필요하다고 볼 수가 있고, 또 하나는 이분들이 가지고 있는 유동화하기 어려운 그런 자산들, 이것들을 어떻게 유동화를 시켜줄 수 있도록 우리가 도울 것이냐. 대표적인 게 우리 주택연금이 있습니다. 그렇지만 이 주택연금 제도를 이용하기 위해서는 나이 제한이 있고 부동산 가지고 있는 자산의 가치가 있고 여러 가지 제약 조건이 있고 나눠서 팔 수도 없습니다. 그렇기 때문에 요 가지고 있는 부동산 자산을 통해서 가처분 소득으로 활용하는 데 있어서 어려움이 있는 게 사실이고, 그래서 제안드리고 싶은 거는 최근에 리얼월드 에셋이라고 블록체인 상에서 이런 부동산 자산을 코인화해서 유동화하는 그런 비즈니스 모델들이 여러 출현하고 있습니다. 그래서 이러한 비즈니스 모델을 더욱 금융 서비스를 활성화시킨다면은 고령자들이 에이징 테크 서비스, 에이징 테크 제품을 구매할 수 있는 구매 여력을 동시에 높여줄 수 있는 그런 하나의 초이스가 될 수 있지 않을까 하는 생각이 들고요. 두 번째는 에이징 테크에 기반한 제품과 서비스를 만들 때 우리가 좀 너무 공급자 위주의 시각에서 개발을 하고 있지 않나라는 생각이 좀 듭니다. 그래서 뭐 다른 나라의 경우는 모르겠지만 적어도 우리나라 같은 경우에는 개발하려고 하는 그런 에이징 테크 서비스들이 주로 정부의 R&D 지원을 받아서 결과물을 공공 조달 시장에 올리고 그 공공 조달 시장에 올라간 걸 요양급여와 항목으로 포함을 시켜서 수익을 창출하는 그런 비즈니스 모델이 많다고 생각을 하는데, 그렇다 보니까 수요자가 실질적으로 원하는 것, 이런 것들에 대한 니즈 충족이 좀 부족하다는 그런 생각이 듭니다. 그래서 그런 측면을 좀 보완하기 위해서는 이 실제 수요자들, 고령자들이 제품이나 서비스를 이용하면서 경험한 실제 데이터, 이 데이터들을 획득을 하고 이걸 통해서 새로운 수요를 발굴하는 그런 전략적인 사고가 좀 필요하다라고 볼 수가 있고, 또 이 수요자들이 직접적으로 고령 친화 제품이나 에이징 테크 개발 단계부터 참여를 해서 그분의 니즈가 반영이 될 수 있도록 하는 공급자와 수요자가 함께 만들어가는 그런 연구 개발이 되면은 조금 더 시장에 효과적인 그런 결과물을 만들 수 있지 않을까 하는 말씀을 드리고 싶습니다. 이상입니다.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Mr. Ko.
Thank you. So I just add on to my fellow colleagues' comments. So Emiko started off from this perspective of ADB with the data showing, the aging situations, and later on, two of our colleagues, Professor Tobita and Professor Kim, talk about regenerative medicines, and Professor Park Kyung-sun talk about rehab and assistive and aging technologies. So myself covering about how from the industry we can scale. So I think it sets the tone for the discussion. There is a need. We need the technology, or maybe some form of model, as Dong-hee mentioned, maybe using blockchain to actually enable the elderly to be independent, to age with dignity. So I started off my career focusing on initially on the assistive technology for the elderly and for people with disability. And then unfortunately, one of my patients passed away before we can actually build the technology for him. I felt very discouraged. So I thought from downstream, I moved upstream, working on the rehab technology to intervene so that they can regain functions. That was maybe a mistake because when I decided to leave the university, my mentor said this is a career suicide. For 20 years, we are working very hard to try to convince people that we need the technology. So when I heard Professor Tobita and Professor Kim's talk, I was joking with Professor Bach. I said that, you know what, if they are successful, we are out of business because we will stop aging. We can replace our organs. So maybe we don't need technologies. I hope that day will come. But before that day comes, maybe we should still look at how some technologies can, in transition, help our populations, our people with disabilities, the elderly to have, a life with dignity. So along the way, we find some problems. The technologies are very piecemeal, very fragmented. It is like, I used one example before. It is like, many years ago, you review my age, right? So you buy computer parts like a main board, chips, you buy monitor, you buy keyboard, you assemble the computer yourself. Very few people do that now, right? This is the situation in the clinical settings. The clinicians for the entire continuum of care are buying different technologies and try to use it for the different stages of the rehab or the aging care. And that creates a problem because clinicians are not engineers like us. We love technologies. For them, they have a lot of patients to take care of. So to integrate the technologies and actually collecting the data and make meaningful decisions is very challenging for them. So we propose maybe an ecosystem called Rehabilitation 4.0, where we can consolidate, standardize, and create interconnectivity system so that we stop reinventing the wheels. I have been giving a lot of talks and being judges of some of the innovation competitions. We see a lot of good intention innovations that come up over the last 20 years. Many startups fail, not because they have no innovation. They have good technologies. They fail because, when the funding runs out, they find challenges in scaling. So perhaps with some form of standardization, we can stop reinventing the wheels and start focusing on, incremental innovation to build some foundations for future adoptions. This is important because, there are limited resources and funds. So we really need to work with the stakeholders, the 5 stakeholders that I earlier mentioned, the patients, the caregivers, the first group, the clinicians, the doctors, the therapists. The second group will be the scientists, the professors, the engineers. The fourth group will be the industry, right? Because the industry have to commercialize it to provide the service, the support, right? And the fifth group will be the policymakers, maybe the CFO, the Minister of Health, or maybe the CEO of the hospitals have to accept that these technologies help in making a difference. So only working with them, we can create a sustainable system. So I moved from downstream to upstream for early intervention to actually hope that we can prevent. So regenerative medicine could be the solution. To prevent is always better than cure, right? Because no matter how good we are in building robotics and technologies to solve the problem, the best way is that you don't have a stroke, you don't have functional loss, then that's good, I'm out of business. Maybe I should do regenerative medicine. But somebody had to do something for the stage that, this transition will take place. Maybe in our lifetime, we can prevent a lot of functional loss, right? So I think one of the things that's exciting at our age is the AI, right? So we are now looking at the possibility of personalized medicine, predictive medicine, and prevention medicine. I think if we can do these 3 Ps, right, we can solve a lot of problems together as a community. So in Singapore, we have this concept called Smart Nation. I think Korea has something similar. So basically to incorporate whatever sensors and technology and connect that into a system. So today's summit is about innovation to access. And I think that's very important because without access, innovations are just very lofty ideas that stays with startups, stay with labs. And it should be accessible, affordable. So this is not just for the elderly or people with disabilities or for neurological patients. As Professor Bach mentioned, we build it for ourselves because we will go through that stage. We will all age for sure, right? So if we collect the data when we were young, this data is so important. You can actually predict what could happen and prevent, possible functional loss, and maybe give us very personalized solutions. So that's my take from the talks and the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Ms. Hyunju Yoon.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Hello, everyone. My name is Hyunju. I'm a Senior Social Development Specialist from ADB, and I work on education and social protection projects in East and Central Asia. I'd like to share my reflection on Dr. Park's presentation about frailty and age technology solutions. And second, I'd like to share ADB's elder care projects in China, which I manage. And I'll conclude by my intervention briefly introducing about ADB and our operations in Asia Pacific. Dr. Park, I very much enjoyed your presentation. In particular, it was really nice to see, it was really nice to learn that how age technology is being developed to align with the diverse needs and taking up a frailty adaptive approach in a very innovative way. Seeing Dr. Park's and his colleagues work at KAIST, I think we can expect more solutions that'll help people maintain dignity, independence, and quality of life. The second point I'd like to mention is that, as many of you all mentioned, accessibility and affordability would be critical. And therefore, it'll be important for academia, private sector, government, and development agency like ADB to collaborate in ensuring that these solutions can effectively reach the vulnerable, underserved, and resource-constrained populations. Now, I'd like to introduce an AI tool that we're developing together with a startup company based in US called Care AI. They won the ADB's AI and Robotics Challenge. We do so every year. We're serving our client in Nanning city of Guangxi Zhang Autonomous Region in the People's Republic of China. In Nanning, we're working together with Second Nanning People's Hospital, which is the Tier 3 hospital, a very large hospital in Nanning. And recently, the hospital introduced a home-based elder care service. And ADB is supporting the hospital's effort to improve both the quality of and access to these services. As we all heard today, the burden on care professionals and the household caregivers remain a serious concern, compounding by the shortage of care workers. And to ease this burden and help nurses more readily adapt into new knowledge and skills, the AI-based case management nurse training tool is developed to provide a bite-sized capacity building opportunities in a conversational format, acting as a personal tutor based on the defined set of knowledge and lessons curated by experts in gerontology, geriatrics, social work, and case management. So through in-person training, we're not giving up on the in-person training. We do train the in-person training. It can't be replaced. So through the both in-person training and the AI-based tool that I just mentioned, which we will be rolling out as an on-the-job training modality, we are supporting the nurses to learn and practice the case management. As you heard, it's a hospital. Nurses are medically trained, but they're not the social worker. So for them to be able to understand and to really carry out their role as a case managers, we really need to help them to improve their knowledge and understanding. And nurses are busy, and they're moms predominantly. They're 90% of the caregivers, care workers are females, and they're also working as a mom. So really, it is expecting them to sit down in front of a desk for 2 hours to learn about the case management. That's a very difficult model to implement. So what we came up with is an on-the-job training modality, and we will be using this tool so that the nurses can tap into this tool, maybe on their work to the hospital, maybe taking a quick break from the work, and they'll just ask the AI to ask about what is this case management about. This is the experience that I'm having. What would you recommend? And this AI tool will refer back to the expert knowledge and also spit out the recommendations in a conversational way so that it actually really incentivizes the nurses to really tune into this conversational discussion with an expert. Now, in terms of the project, this project is much wider than the AI tool. So we've just developed a practice guideline and nurse competency framework for implementing home-based elder care services. And we just completed the first round of case management in-person training. And now we're about to move into an on-the-job training while piloting this case management using this AI tool. Okay, so that's a gist of my project, and if you're interested, I'll be happy to answer more after my intervention. Now, I'd like to conclude my intervention by briefly explaining about ADB operations in China in the field of long-term care. ADB has a very large operation in China, and more specifically on elder care since 2016, starting with the Hubei Yichang Comprehensive Elder Care Demonstration Loan Project. To the nurse capacity building that I just mentioned, ADB's portfolio on aging and elder care in PRC now totals to about half a billion in combined loans and technical assistance, investing to provide comprehensive care facilities, redesigning the cities to become age-friendly, and providing various capacity building opportunities. About Asian Development Bank, we were established in 1966 with 31 member countries, founding members, and including Republic of Korea. Today, our membership has grown to 69 countries and economies. Our mandate is to foster economic growth and cooperation in Asia and the Pacific, while advancing the region's social and economic development. To achieve this, we provide loans, grants, advisory services, and technical assistance to its developing member countries while mobilizing financial resources for development. We also support regional cooperation and integration, and we promote good governance, environmentally sustainable growth, gender equality, with the vision of achieving a prosperous, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable Asia and the Pacific. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for keeping time. And last but the best, Mr.
안녕하십니까? 네.
Yes.
저는 길리어드 사이언스 코리아를 대표하고 있는 최재현입니다. 먼저 이렇게 의미 있는 자리에 함께하게 돼서 영광으로 생각합니다. 저는 업계를 대표해서 저희 주제와 맞닿은 의료 혁신의 패러다임의 변화와 제언을 몇 가지 드리고자 이제 말씀을 드리겠는데요. 저는 이제 이 발언을 시작하기 전에 아마 그 젠도 잠깐 얘기했지만 오늘 토픽이 저를 포함해서 여기 계신 모든 분들에게 굉장히 맞닿아 있는 주제라고 생각합니다. 정말 everyone is aging, right? 그런데 이제 우리에게 던져야 되는 그 질문은 과연 우리는 오래 사는 것만으로 충분한가입니다. 저도 개인적으로 품격 있고 건강한 노년을 살고 싶은데요. 여러분께서 많이 말씀하셨지만 저희가 이미 2020년에 WHO가 60세 이상의 인구가 5세 미만의 아동수를 넘어섰고 또 OECD는 2050년에는 2022년에 비해서 장기 요양 비용이 두 배 반 이상 상승할 것을 예측하고 있습니다. 근데 이거는 인구 분포의 변화뿐만이 아니라 우리 사회 전반에 걸쳐서 의료, 보건, 정책, 법률 모두가 바뀌는 것을 의미하게 됩니다. 이 노령화에 따라서 의료 혁신의 패러다임도 매우 변화를 하고 있는데요. 이전에는 생명 연장이나 만성 질환의 관리에 초점을 맞췄다면 이제는 완치, 예방, 삶의 질 향상 이런 쪽으로 이제 포커스가 변화하고 있습니다. 저희 길리어드 사이언스도 난치성 질환에서 완치를 지향하며 모두가 건강한 세상을 만든다라는 비전을 가지고 있는데요. 저희가 완치에 집중하는 이유는 결국 완치는 환자 자신에게 가는 혜택뿐 아니라 사회적인 비용을 절감하고 국가 재정을 건전성을 높이는 그런 솔루션이 되고 가치를 전달하기 때문입니다. 오늘 김민영 교수님께서도 잠깐 언급해 주셨는데요. 카티는 이런 완치 치료제의 좋은 예라고 할 수 있습니다. 여러분들이 아시다시피 개인 맞춤형 그 항암 치료제인데요. 한 번의 치료로 완치가 또 가능하기도 하고 그렇기 때문에 유엔은 카티 치료제를 건강한 노화를 위한 핵심 전략으로 제시하기도 했습니다. 여러분들이 잘 알고 계신 C형 간염 치료도 좋은 예인데요. 이전에는 C형 간염이 간암으로 발전함으로써 생명을 위협하는 질병이었고 또 70세 이상 노령층에서 가장 유병률이 높은 그런 질환이기도 합니다. 그런데 이 의료 혁신의 발전이 굉장히 빨라서 이제는 완치율 95% 이상의 C형 간염이 상용화돼 있고 너무 감사하게도 대한민국 국민으로서 C형 간염 치료제는 이미 건강보험 제도 안에 들어와 있습니다. 그래서 매년 이전에는 35만 명 이상의 분들이 사망을 했었는데요. 이제는 2030년 WHO가 C형 간염을 없애자는 퇴치 계획을 갖고 있지 않습니까? 거기 마일스톤에 좀 더 가깝게 저희가 도달을 했고 이제 C형 간염은 역사 속에서 사라질 그런 기대를 좀 해봅니다. 그리고 치매 역시 마찬가지인데요. 여러분들이 다 관심을 가지고 계신 분야일 텐데 지금의 혁신에 맞춰서 AI나 빅데이터를 활용한 치매 질환 질환의 진행 속도를 늦춘다던가 조금 더 정밀화된 의료를 개인 맞춤형으로 개발한다든가 하는 여러 가지 시도가 지속되고 있어서 치매 또한 이후에 우리가 예전에 있었던 병으로 좀 이렇게 얘기할 날이 왔으면 너무나 좋겠습니다. 이제 제언 부분인데요. 저는 그 제도나 법률이 절대 기술의 속도를 따라갈 수는 없다고 생각합니다. 그래서 항상 기술이 먼저 개발이 되고 혁신이 일어나면 그에 맞는 법제화 그리고 제도 등이 수반이 되는데요. 제가 부탁을 드리고 싶은 것은 그 어느 때보다도 이런 제도와 개선 그리고 법률 제정이 빠르게 일어나야 한다는 점입니다. 저희가 그 어떤 혁신을 만들고 또 제도와 법 개정을 할 때 모두의 협력이 반드시 필요합니다. 저도 이제 그 좀 한국 자랑을 하자면 그 건강보험 제도의 수혜를 받고 있었는데요. 여태까지는 너무나 그 관리라던가 만성질환이라던가 어떤 그 볼륨의 혜택을 많이 받았다면 이제는 완치 그리고 예방 그리고 정밀 의료 쪽에 혁신의 가치를 인정하면서 또 세분화된 여러 가지 다양한 제도를 실험을 해봐야 될 때가 왔다고 생각합니다. 그리고 그것은 모두의 협력이 그것을 가능하리라 생각합니다. 제가 오늘 저도 개인적으로 굉장히 많이 배웠는데 아까 박 교수님께서 말씀하신 frailty 스케일의 그 1 or 2 저도 그 바람이 있다면 개인적인 바람이 있다면 이 기술의 혁신과 더불어 제도도 빨리 선진화가 되어서 저도 1, 2 카테고리의 건강한 노년으로 수혜를 받는 사람이 될 뿐만 아니라 액티브 컨트리뷰터로서 사회에 오랫도록 공헌하고자 하는 제 바람이 있습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you. Thank you all for keeping the time limit. I'm sorry I could not give you more time. And actually, we are almost out of time. So let me just give a brief summary. And if we have still some time left, one or two might add more at the end. And I hope everyone enjoyed the previous session, the presentation, as well as the discussion of this session on longevity and age tech. And I've learned a lot listening to different speakers coming from different backgrounds, bringing their own expertise. And as someone said, and I think it was repeated several times in this session, that we need more collaboration, multidisciplinary collaboration, not just within academia, but also with industry, government, and also non-profit organizations. So I think this discussion group was very nice since we were comprised of different sectors coming from different backgrounds and bringing in different perspectives. And it's difficult always to summarize in a short time so many excellent ideas and thoughts that were presented. But in one word, I would say that we need to move forward now from just looking back at our achievements and achieving maybe long life, longevity, and aim for healthy longevity. So health span is the way to go, I think, and technology will serve a good purpose in this regard. And as someone said, it's a lofty goal, but we need to strive for it. And the key role for technology, I think, in providing health, well-being, as well as living a long life with dignity, is of course we have a problem with scaling up, as Mr. Cole mentioned, and always its practical application is difficult, but we need perspectives from different policy areas and industry working together to meet this lofty goal. And I think I'm confident that the future of health and longevity, if we work together with this aim, will be successful and become a true reality, hopefully not so in the distant future. And with that, I would give all of you participants a round of applause for taking part and giving your thoughtful inputs to the discussion. And any last word, any last minute? I notice we are not open for Q&A, but in the audience, if you have any one or two questions, we might kind of entertain one or two. If any one of you have any questions. I was expecting none, so that's fortunate. So we, as a moderator, it's always difficult to keep the track of time, but I'll give myself a pat in the back in keeping time. So with that, I would like to end and give the microphone back to the MC of this session.
Okay, let's give a warm round of applause for our panelists and also our moderator for leading the session. Thank you very much. And you may return to your seats. And now this concludes the officially concludes the session 2 of World Bio Summit 2025. We had a lot of meaningful discussions, and a lot of you said that living longer is a blessing, but we have to be prepared with a lot of technologies. And so have a safe trip back, and also expecting to see you next week. Thank you very much.